Hi everybody, it's Kay here from Indigo Blue, and I'm joined not by Alfie today. Alfie's on a road trip. So we're actually joined by
Hi
Ella.
everybody, it's Kay here from Indigo Blue, and I'm joined not by Alfie today.
Really sorry about that. Phew. Is the speaker off? Yes. Yeah. So my technical assistant today is Ella.
Hello.
So Ella's working the technical bits, and she's helping me out today. So that's quite nice, isn't it? Let me just alter that. There we go. I'll just come down a little bit. Wow, it's hot today. So hot. I had to put my hair up. Just couldn't close the windows, so there might be noise outside, so don't worry about that. But yeah, what a lovely day. So thank you very much for joining us. So today's a bit different. We have asked last weekend or last Monday for your questions, so it's going to be like a question and answer session today. Oh, hi Dee, hi Sarah, hi Anne Riley Davis, hi darling. I've lost your daughter's website address again. Can you just message me? Thanks. For anyone who doesn't know, her daughter, Anne Riley Davis's daughter, is a really, really talented silversmith. Fantastic, beautiful stuff. And when we get her details up, I'll give her a shout out. Definitely worth a look in. Anne's here. Are you still on your trip, Anne? She travels around the country in a caravan. On holiday, of course. Speaking of which, we're having another weekend off. What the heck is going on? I know, it's fantastic, isn't it? So we're going to jump straight in, I think. So hello to everybody who's watching. Oh yes, before we begin, very, very important. So we haven't got the thing at the top that Alfie normally puts at the top of, yeah, the banner, thanks Ella, to tell you what prizes they are. So remember, you need to like, comment and share. You know what to do. Oh, what's the prize? What's the prize, Ella?
It's a £50 voucher.
Speak up a bit.
£50 voucher.
Wow. Is that to spend anywhere, or is it just
Indigo Blue, obviously.
Obviously. So anything on the website you can buy. 50 quid, that's not bad, is it? That's pretty good. So you know what to do. Like, comment and share, and you're in with a chance to win 50 smackaroonies to spend on the website. So hey, yeah, if you think I'm a little bit hyper today, she's laughing at me. I was working really late last night. Well, this morning actually, it was like when I crawled into bed and the birds were already up. And so I don't drink caffeine, if you know me, so I don't have tea or coffee. So when I'm feeling really, really, really tired, like I have to drive somewhere and to be safe, I have some caffeine, and I've had a Red Bull, which has really woken me up. So I'm a little bit hyper, so please excuse me. So this is what caffeine does to me. Right, let's crack on. First question, Ella, nice and loud.
So, Harsha Brooks.
Hi.
Please could you show how to use Luscious with embossing powder to make coloured embossing powder, please?
Yeah, sure, we can. Okay, so what we'll do is, come on down. We have our clear superfine embossing glaze. Okay, but you can use any embossing powder that you have. Get yourself some clean jars. We sell our Luscious jars actually, and they're called Really Useful Jars.
No, they're called Little Handy Jars, I think.
Speak up a bit.
Little Handy Jars.
Sorry, typo there. Little Handy Jars, a set of 10?
Yeah,
5?
I think so. 10 or 5, I can't.
Anyway, they're on the website and they're called little handy jars. There you go. So get yourself an empty jar. I've just got this that was lying around, and get yourself a little scoop or a little teaspoon, something like that. So what was the mixture? The mixture is basically what you want it to look like. Now this one I've used a navy blue, but I've put quite a lot in. And this one I've used a softer blue, and I've not put quite as much in. Ella, it's time she came back packing. What does that mean?
I don't know.
No idea. No idea. Red Bull is not good if you don't normally have caffeine. You're absolutely right, Maggie. You really are. Because and I must have it maybe once a year, something like that. Yeah, they're not good because I'm sure it makes you all fidgety, doesn't it? It's not nice. Okay, so I suggest that you make up just a really small amount. That's why I found these in my drawer, because embossing powder you hardly use any at all. I give you a great big tub purely so that you can chuck it over a big area, but you know, the majority of this is because I've spilt it. You know, you don't use a lot. So I would suggest just putting a tiny bit in a jar. I mean, that's what, half a teaspoon, something like that. Unless, of course, you know, you do need quite a lot to cover the area, so maybe put a bit more in. Okay, so I'm going to take a darker colour because when you mix it with the clear, it's obviously halving the amount of pigment, so it's not going to be as bright as that. So I would put equal amounts in. That's probably not quite equal, but let's give that a shake. Oh, I forgot that there's this top on. Right, let me unseal it. There we go. Make sure it's nice and tight and just give it a shake. Okay. Oh yeah, that's nice. I'll put it in the lid so you can see it. So you can see that's lovely and sparkly.
That's gorgeous.
Thanks, Ella. Be nice and supportive. Your daddy isn't normally like that. He just sort of rolls his eyes occasionally.
I wonder why.
Okay, I don't want to know the answer to that. So, and then the thing is to try it out, and if it needs more pigment you can put some in. So let's just try that out. Okay, let's get a little scrap of paper. There you. And let's get this here. Sorry, I'm just scouting around for a stamp. Okay, so this is one of Janine Gerard Shaw's mushrooms, which I love. Okay, so you can use flitter glue or you can use your Versamark, whichever. Is this sticky enough? We'll soon find out, won't we? I think that is. I think that's okay. Alright, so let's have this little beauty here. I've got my paper underneath. Let's chuck it on. You see, I'm not used to having such a small amount. Now this is why I did it on white card, because I want you to see that you do have pigment on there, and that shows you that it could stain the card. So really you should use an anti-static bag first. All right, so I will do the another piece with, if I can get this open. Good grief. Okay, or a bit of talc. You can use talc, but this is made for the job. This is watercolour card. Let's give that a bit of a dust. Schoolboy error, look at that. I'm going to end up with all that dust in my embossing powder. Okay. And so let's do it again. Now this is a scrap of watercolour card, so you're not going to get the most perfect image. Okay. And let's tip that embossing powder all over it. I missed a bit, so let's do that. And that goes back in the tub. So you see, that's a really tiny amount. I think that's a bit skimpy, so I'd probably mix up a little bit more. But you can see how you get that glitter still on there. So give it a good flick with your fingers. That's just Daisy in the background. They sigh heavily. Okay, let me get a gun.
Lynn has a question about the Frank the Fairy stamp.
Oh yes.
She struggles to stamp the Frank the Fairy stamp so the top is working but the centre remaining fainter.
Okay, right, yeah.
Any suggestion?
Okay, so you can see here with the watercolour card, with it being textured, it's holding the pigment more. So you're getting some staining. This is not super smooth, but it's a lot smoother than watercolour card. And this, you can take the pigment off. So this is a really, really dark pigment. So you're going to get a really good colour with your embossing powder. But as I say, you've got to be careful with the actual pigment loading on it. Oh, I missed a bit there. I think that's where I touched it, but you get a lovely look to it. And this one, this blue one, is just really fabulous, isn't it? Now, this blue is a lot paler, but it's still beautiful, isn't it? I would envisage using that for, you know, winter scenes, because it's such a beautiful, cool blue. But the lovely thing is, because we've got such a load of mica in here, and we've got duotones, and we've got that lovely glisten as well. It's not a glitter, it's finer than that. It does look really fantastic. So again, it's up to you how much you put in, but you're getting a huge pot here, you know, and it's a really good price, so you can get a lot out of it. And just get yourself some handy little jars and just have a play with it. I wouldn't put any more pigment in this at all, because I think that's a great colour. But what I would do is actually put a lot more, I'd mix a lot more up, because that was too little for me. So I would put 4 scoops in, and that's equivalent to 4 scoops, 2 scoops, because it's so finely ground. Oh, wrong lid. Where did I put my lid?
One in front of you.
One in front of me. There we go. What a mess. Honestly, I've only been playing for 5 minutes. And it's all over the place. See what I mean? The most I use is what I actually end up, you know, throwing all over my desk. Right, there we go. Give that a shake. Oh, that is just to die for, isn't it? Yeah, I love that. Love that. So that works beautifully for me. I hope that answers your question. Who asked the question?
It was Harsha.
Harsha. Hi, sweetheart. Harsha comes on quite often, actually.
Yeah.
Right, so seeing as we've got these stamps out, I'll talk to Lynn while I'm at it. So, Lynn, you're having trouble stamping Frank the Fairy, okay? And the reason for that is it's a really big stamp. Now, all of these rubber stamps are actually made in a sheet form, so they're not going to have dips in them. They are actually smooth all the way across. So it's all to do with pressure. Let me just tidy up a little bit, otherwise it's going to be a right mess within seconds. And I do struggle with big stamps, which is why I bought myself a stamping platform. Okay, it's worth the investment of using a stamping platform. There are lots on the market. I just happen to have got this one, which was one of the early ones, which is a tonic one. I like that, but there's a really good Crafts 2 one, which has actually got mats in here as well. It's a great design. If I hadn't have bought this one and a big one already, I would get the Crafts 2 one. And you can get that on thecraftstore.com, or you can get it from crafts2.com. Crafts 2 is crafts.com. So there's that. If you haven't got one and you really want to get him to stamp, I'll show you a little technique. Okay, so he's going on a normal acrylic block. I mean, ours are Slim Jims. Okay, we were the first company to actually bring out a very thin acrylic block, apart from Barbara Gray with the special handle ones. Before these, everyone had these great big chunky ones, which was just so difficult to handle. So let me just grab a piece of card. I'm using Super Smooth. If you want a really good impression from your stamps, use a really smooth stamping card. It makes all the difference, and that way you're not wasting your money on card that's not going to do it for you, because you can get lots of budget cards. I'm just looking for an ink pad. But they end up having, like, it's almost under a microscope, it'd look almost hairy, and that's not going to capture all the detail, because these are really, really detailed stamps. Okay, so, and use a decent ink as well. That's going to make all the difference. If you use a distress ink, that naturally contracts so that you don't get all of the image, and that's the whole point about a distress ink, so that it doesn't show up every last bit of it, because you want it looking a bit grungier, a bit more distressed, and that's what it's designed to do. Whereas invest in a VersaFine Claire or a VersaFine Original. The VersaFine Originals are oil based, so this is the very best you're going to get with ultra fine detail. And just make sure you cover all bases. Now, I have trouble with, you know, putting pressure on. So the easiest way to work, I mean, normally I would bring that close to my body, but you can't see that. So I'm going to stand up. I'm going to place him there. And I'm not going to take one hand off. One hand is always going to hold that in position. And then with the other one, don't use your fingertips like this, because you can't put as much pressure on. Just use the heel of your hand. And I'm actually leaning forward. So my body is actually doing the work rather than your fingertips, because your body will give you a lot more weight, obviously. And then I'm still this hand is still holding on to the Slim Jim, and then the heel of my hand is just working around. Now, if you were to do this with acrylic stamps, the line would splay out, but with rubber stamps, they actually hold their position. And so just make sure that you're pressing in the middle there, because that's the hardest part of a very large stamp. Okay, but these Slim Jims have got some give in them. Okay, so what I've done here is I've actually bounced it. Can you see it's almost like a double image? So that means that I've actually moved, probably when I was moving my hand around. See, even after how many years have I been stamping, and I still can cock it up. That's a technical term, of course. So you can see I've got an image, but I've actually got a smudged image, okay? Because I've actually just either bounced it when I brought it off or when I moved my hand. Okay, so card is two-sided, so let's have another go. I love that. Here's me demonstrating how to do it and it goes completely wrong. See, you know, we're not experts, we're just normal people that cock up. Ella's loving this. Ella's like, oh God, here she goes. All right, so hold it down and just, I was probably over egging it, you know. Watch this not work as well. There we go. Okay, phew. That's better. Round of applause. Thanks very much. So I was standing up when I was doing that so that I could actually lean over. People who are in wheelchairs, who can't stand, I would suggest that you bring the piece of card close to your body so that it's right over the top of you, so you can actually put pressure on from that position. Oh, that's a good idea, Susie. Sometimes I use a large brayer for added welly. That is a good idea. But again, I haven't got that strength to do that in my wrist and hand. So that's why I use my body weight for it, which is quite substantial. So it tends to work quite nicely. So this won't focus because we've got the focus on the table here. But hopefully you'll see that you've got really nice line work there. So I'd have a go at that, and then if you've got any more problems, just give me a call. You know, you can email us kay@indigoblue.com or just ring up and they'll put you through to me. And if I'm not available, I'll just ring you back. Just leave your telephone number for me and we'll talk it through. All right, so thank the fairy. There you go. Right, where's my... There we go. Okay, Elbel.
So, Stuart Brown.
Hi, Stuart.
Will there be any more colours coming in the mixed media paint? If so, can we have a black and white in the matte, as I really need them in so many projects?
Yes, you do need them a lot. Now, when I devised the paints, I actually, on purpose, did not make a black and a white. Why was that? Because we created the gesso in such a way that you could actually use these as a black and a white, so you can mix them with all of your paints or use them on their own. Why did you do that? Because I wanted to save people money and myself money, because there's no point spending extra money on extra paints when we've actually made up the chemistry to create a really beautiful paint. So yes, these are not fabric paints, but they do have a really good acrylic base, and yes, they work as a gesso, but they are a smooth gesso. They still give you a tooth, but the difference is we've actually made this with really good, excellent quality ingredients. Okay, so this is made with titanium white. Okay, so you can see that you get the most fantastic, brilliant white on this, and you can create just on True Black card a really pure white, and that's why it's so heavy, because it's a fantastic coverage and it will go over all your surfaces. So if you're layering up with mixed media and you know you've done some watercolour, you've done some decoupage and everything, and you want to knock it back, you can use the gesso. If you want, you can be using this for mixing paint. So let me just get some more card out. Let's just go with just a plain, some plain. So let me just put that there. So have you already got our gesso, is the question I'm going to ask you next. And I'm talking about our gesso, not just a normal gesso that you would buy from other companies. This is specially devised so that you can actually utilize it in this way. So let me just grab my rag.
Don't forget the voucher.
Oh, thanks very much. Don't forget the voucher. So what do you need to do? You need to comment, like
share.
and share. And you could win a £50 voucher to spend on the website on anything you like. Apart from, you can't buy workshops, can you, Ella?
No.
With it, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. So if you want to take a colour, let's go with the really, well, that is quite a dark one. Let's go for In the Navy. Okay. And you want to mix in, just take a tiny, tiny bit. That's like the size of a grain of rice, because our paints are really, really strong. Okay. And let me just grab a little bit of gesso. You can actually just add a little bit to give you a tint. You need some water as well, because our paints are very concentrated as well. Okay, if you want to take it down a bit more, you
That's
can
pretty.
do that. Thanks. Okay, and even more of a tint. So adding white to a colour gives you a tint. Some people call them pastels, which is true, but they are a tint. So they are from the same colour, the same base colour, which is, just wash my brush, which is this one here. Okay, and that's called In the Navy, and this is a translucent paint. Okay, so you can do the same with adding it to a matte paint. Now, if you're making it darker, I actually suggest that you use Welsh Slate. The reason we did Welsh Slate was purely for this. It's what I call an 11% grey. Just get some of that, and this will give you a bit of water, a darker tone. Okay, but it doesn't change the base colour. So if we just add a wee bit more, again, it's going to give you, and this is called a shade. So these are tints and these are shades. Okay. So for mixing, I would recommend the Welsh Slate. Of course, you can use black as well, but black can be very overwhelming, and black doesn't necessarily alter the colour that much, again, because we use a really good pigment.
Will it still be translucent when mixed with gesso?
No, it won't. It will become opaque because the gesso is opaque. All white paint is opaque. You can't get a translucent white. It doesn't exist. It has to be opaque. And therefore, when you're mixing it with your translucent paints, it becomes opaque. That's why I've got the Welsh Slate. The Welsh Slate is a translucent colour. So when you mix them together, they're still translucent. The black gesso is not translucent, it's opaque. So again, what you're doing is you're mixing, excuse me, an opaque with a translucent, so it becomes opaque so that you can't see through it. Okay, so that means that if you have line work, a stamp, if you're painting on it, it covers the lines up. Okay, whereas, let me just get, oh, you sneaked that in, Ella. She's sneakily eating a bueno. Get you. So can you see this is the In the Navy, which is a really, really rich dark colour. Obviously I add water to it because it is very, very strong and concentrated. But when you paint over, whoops, let me just bring it up, you can still see the line work from it. And that's what translucent does. You can see through it. It's not translucent so that it's like a window. Sorry, it's not transparent like a window. It's translucent, so you can still see through it, but it has that added colour to it. So that's the difference between opaque and translucent. Opaque, you can't see through it. Translucent, you can. Okay, does that answer your question? Let me just clean my brushes for you. Okay.
Maybe you want in your next question?
Yeah, I think that's okay. Is that all right as an answer? Did he reply back?
I think so.
Just a little tip. When you're messing about like this, just cut these little swatches out and put them in your in a journal or a notebook that you've got specifically for it, so you can actually write on it exactly what you've done. So you'll write In the Navy plus no, that's just In the Navy, isn't it? And that's In the Navy plus Welsh Slate, and that's As Above plus Extra Welsh Slate. Yeah, and that's In the Navy plus Black Gesso. Okay, and then you'll have, I have a little book that's got tons and tons of colours in them. So sometimes when I'm painting or playing around, you can have a look at your little book and go, oh, that's a fantastic colour. That's what I can use, because I bet your bottom dollar that if you accidentally, which I do this all the time, if you accidentally mix a colour, you can never, and you don't record what you've done, you'll never get it back. It's really, really difficult. Okay, so there we go. Next question, honey.
So Sarah Milson, she asked, she wants to know a bit more about gesso actually, and the crack-on paste, how to use them and what they are used for. And also, could you do a flake demo?
Okay, all right. Well, let's do a flake demo first. Let's just move those out of the way. Okay. Let's move those. Don't need those. Okay, so I do have some card and some flake. Okay, so Flitter Glue. It comes in a squeezy bottle. If you are overseas from the UK, take the whole top off. It does have a label on it, and there'll be a little stopper in here. Just remove that stopper and put that lid back on. And that's the last time you do that, because we have a self-cleaning nozzle on this. Okay, to open it, you just twist. This does not come off. You just twist until that nipple there disappears. And it's a bit dirty, that. Do as I say, not as I do. And then this is fat foam, all cut and dry. It's the same stuff. Okay, so I'm going to cut a piece about like that. I do say in instructions about 2 inches by 1 inch, but that's if you're using it, you know, for a day, for a long period of time. Okay, so you've opened that, you put on a teaspoonful of Flitter Glue. You close this, and you can see the nipple pushes up any excess glue that is in that tube, and then damp cloth, just wipe that off, and then it's not going to get stuck. There's no pins that you need to stick in it. It's going to remain clean. And also it's a nice squishy bottle, so you don't have to put much pressure on. So that's your flitter glue. Let's get a spatula. And then you see there's a lot in there, but that's going to last you quite a few hours. When it's hot like this, though, you need to sort of either put it on a ceramic plate or a bit of tin foil, or in a little plastic bag is good, because that'll keep the hot air off it and it'll last longer. Okay, so you push it in until it's all disappeared. When you get your flitter glue at home, it does come with instructions, and we do them in different languages as well. So if you're Spanish speaking, or that's your German is your native tongue, then just let us know. Okay, so that I would put face down on a plate or something just to keep it moist. All right, so I'm going to demonstrate this because this is quite a difficult stamp in the tiny dots on this are absolutely minuscule. As you can see, I do apologise for my nails today. I've been sort of working all weekend and I'm struggling to get my nails clean today, so I do apologise for the muckiness. Here we go. So, oh yeah, another useful tip, your flitter glue, if you have any wooden mounted stamps, heat them up and the glue will melt and you'll be able to peel them off, and then you can actually use them on acrylic blocks instead of storing them on wooden blocks. Now, in order to, I've got a little robin staring at me. Oh, I wish you could see it. We've watched it grow up. Look, he's losing his baby fur and he's getting his adult fur. Bless. Now, also, I abuse my stamps. If you find that the stickiness has gone, all you need to do is just put a tiny bit of flitter glue on. For this size stamp, which is really big, I would put maybe 3 tiny drops, about the size of a grain of rice, and then just smear it all over and I'll leave it for 10, 15, 20 minutes. And then this flitter glue never dries out, it remains tacky. So then your stamps will always be tacky, and it would help if I had it. I don't know where my big one's gone. I had it earlier today, but so I'm going to miss out on this bit here, so never mind. Okay, so you want to just put a tiny amount of this on. A little goes a long way. And you can't necessarily see, it starts off white, but it very quickly is clear. So you don't need to put tons on, I don't want you to. And then you need to kiss stamp it, which just means a straight on and a straight off. So you could hear that noise, that's grabbed hold of that card, and then it's just fab. And then what you need to do is wash this straight away. So, because I haven't got a bucket of water here, I'm just going to spray it with water, because the water will dissolve the flitter glue, and then I'm going to give that a good wash later on. Just make sure that you wash your hands as well, because you get covered in flake at the next stage. So I'm not worried about this at all, because it's going to actually, turn that over, it's going to actually remain tacky for a very long time. Okay, so I've got some flake here, which is rather yummy. And we use really big sized flakes. Why do we do that? Because it's a lot more expensive. Well, it means that it lasts a heck of a long time, because as you use the flake, it breaks up into smaller pieces, and the smaller the pieces, the quicker it gets used up. So that's why I use mega flakes. Okay, so that's plenty. Let me just move that out of the way. You can put that in your lid. This is an A5 size tough box. We do a flitter glue kit that comes in a tough box. Let me just get another flake over that area there. There we go. And then you're just rubbing it, basically. You're just making sure that The flitter glue has got plenty of flake on it, so that can go back in the tub. And then use your scoocher. Now I've used loads of different sponges from under my sink to everything, and there's a lot that can scratch the gilding flake, but this seems to bring off the excess without actually ruining the gilding flake. And just gently take off the excess, just little circles will do, and that'll work wonders for you. So you can see already that even the tiniest dots are showing up, and that's because we use such a fine ingredients in the flitter glue. Let me just move that to one side and then just dust that off. This was the edge that was hanging over the... Is that fabulous? I mean, the detail that you get is just amazing. Oh, I thought you'd go, ooh, Ella.
Sorry. Ooh.
She's too busy eating a bueno. Okay, so that's your basic flitter glue. But you can also, let me get another piece. Do you know what? I shouldn't have cleaned my blooming stamp there, should I? Let me just give that a really good wipe. Sorry, just off camera there. Because you should just leave it to dry out properly. Right, so you don't need any more glue on here because this is going to last you for maybe a few hours worth of stamping. Okay, so it's great to do batch stamping because what you can do is you can actually do one after the other. Always ink up with your glue every single time because it's not like ink. I'll just go off the page with this, okay? And straight off. You don't want to be on there for too long. You'll know if it's too long because you'll rip the card. It'll bring the card back up with you, okay? So if you're doing multiple cards, you would then just ink up and just keep on stamping. And then at the end of your session, you need to wash this, but it'll probably be quite glued up. So invest in some easy peasy stamp cleaner and that will clean it off. It's also good as a blender, this as well. So you can use it as a blender with your markers, your alcohol markers. Okay, so instead of using flake this time, I'm going to come in with these. There we go. Oh, it's not that one, it's this one. So this is the Spring in Your Step set of luscious powders. So this is another use for them. And so you need a soft, clean brush.
It's not Spring in Your Step.
Is it not?
It's a mixture of Spring in Your Step and Jam
Oh,
Kisses.
yeah, it is actually. Yeah.
All right.
Just mix them up in the drawer. Oh well, not to worry.
Jam Kisses and Spring in Your Step.
Thanks, Ella. Got that wrong. So this is Sparkling Waterfall. Okay, so I'm just going to, oh look at that. I'm just going to gently dust that over, and you can see with that you get the duotone. And I'm going to put some raspberry jam next to that. Ooh. Well done, Ella.
Is that what you were going for?
Yeah, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. Thanks. Daddy's not going to get his job back. It's going to be, no, can I have Ella for the afternoon, please? She's much better than you. I've just done little kisses and then I'm just finishing off with a little bit of, what's this one called? The green apple, that's it. Okay, So, I mean, you would have done this with just the old-fashioned, you know, when it was just markers rather than pigment, but you'll find that you get a lot more bang for your buck here. So I'm just going to use an old fluffy brush. You can use an old blusher brush, is really good for this as well. So I'm just going to give that a really, really good brush. Oh, look at that. It's just beautiful.
Gorgeous.
Yay. It is nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good. And you can't see duotones coming up.
Kind of little
Little bit. Yeah.
sparkles.
Yeah, and the sparkles. So you can use your flitter glue for that as well. And also I do a technique where I put a tiny bit of gilding flake and then the rest I put the luscious over the top, which is pretty cool. Okay, so that's a nice little thing there. What was the other part of the question? There was the second part of the question, wasn't there?
Someone did just ask, is flitter glue washable? Can you use it on fabric?
No, you can't, unfortunately. Well, you can, but it will wash off because it's not formulated for fabric. It's water washable, so you can wash it off all of your clothes and stuff like that. Unfortunately, yeah, it doesn't actually work. So sorry about that. Yeah, we are experimenting with one where I can put, you know, like big blobs of flake onto, you know, like leather jackets and denim jackets, but not at this moment in time. Sorry about that.
And Sarah Milson also wanted to know how to use and what they are used for of the gesso and crack-on paste.
The gesso, well, we've already covered the gesso that we can actually mix with paints, but also gesso is used as a primer, so it might be that let me just scoot over here. So I'm just demolishing the place. Causing havoc, that's right. So if you are, this is like a crate that I got from the works, and it's really quite rough wood, so you need to gesso it first, and that's a primer, and that seals in all of the sort of rough bit of wood. You can sand it back down to make it a lot smoother, but I was lazy and I just went straight on with my matte paints on top. But it gives you basically a good bond, a really professional finish. And I know lots of people say you can actually paint MDF straight away with your acrylic matte paints. And yes, you can do that, absolutely. But it won't give you the same finish. And you just end up wasting your paint, because sometimes you might have to put a little bit of a top up on it. Not necessarily 2 coats, but I just think you get a much better finish. And definitely with journaling as well, if you actually are using watercolour card but you're not using watercolours and you want to give it a good base, you would actually put gesso on first. So that would give you a great base. It's also good for knocking back as well. That means that if you've got a page that you're working on, just grab something. I don't know. No, it's too neat over there. If you're working on a page and it's too bright, you can actually knock it back by putting a little bit of gesso over the top. Also, it gives you another ground for another set of layers as well. Okay, does that help?
Lovely.
Yeah. Anything else on there? There was something else, wasn't there? Was it crack-on? Oh right, yeah, the crack-on paste. Okay, so the crack-on paste, there are loads of different ways of using it, but I could just do let's just do a tag. I would suggest actually using a much thicker piece of card, because the paste, as it dries, it contracts. And of course, as it contracts, it's going to, if the paper bends, it's going to take the paper with it. So you've got to bear that in mind as well. So normally it's great on MDF stuff, absolutely superb. There is a piece under there somewhere that's got the black crackle on it. It's a really small piece. Thanks, sweetheart. Right, so the crack-on paste comes in white and black. It is opaque, so that means that it will dry white and the black will dry like a charcoal black. And it will, you can mix colour into it, but you have to be careful that you don't mix too much that it affects the crackle itself. So if I was to, let's just do that, okay? So if I was to choose, you want quite a strong colour to mix in with it. So this is Purple Rain. This happens to be a translucent, and I think that's the best. Oh, that's quite a lot. Let's put that back. Translucent is best because if we haven't already mattified it, we haven't actually put any white into it. So translucent will give you the most pure pigment, as it were. So when I'm mixing this crack-on paste, you're mixing it with white, so you're going to get a lovely lilac rather than a deep purple. Okay. Oh wow, look at that. That's just delicious, isn't it? Wow.
That colour.
Yeah, that is lovely.
It's beautiful.
Okay, so the thicker you put this on, the bigger the cracks. The thinner it is, the smaller the cracks. Okay, so you can just, and it will hold its shape as well. Of course, you can put it through stencils. I just don't have one at the moment. Well, I could actually. Let me just grab one of these. Just bear with 1 second. There we go. So let me just put that there. I'll use a bit of that. There we go. And let me just water that, and then I can wash that immediately because it will stick to your stencil, so you need to get that washed straight away. Excuse me. So these areas here will hardly crack, these very, very thin areas, but this area here, which is nice and thick, and those will crack really quite nicely. So you'll end up getting, this is the black that's crackled, and that was really nice and thick in the middle, and this is a watercolor card. So this is really good because it's this is the Pink Frog one that we sell, which is really nice, and it's really quite heavy, and it's not curled, it's buckled a little bit, but it's really quite good. You can see this going already. It's going to just curl, and in this weather I can't believe how quick it crackles as well. Let me just turn that over. There we go. So just put that to one side and leave it to do its job. Now, people say, can we heat it to get it to go a lot quicker? Yes, you can, but it's actually got to start crackling straight away, and then you can speed it up. So this is on really quite thin black card, just a standard black card. So you can see how it's sort of wobbled. It's still quite damp, but you can see that the big crackles, they're starting to pull up because it's such a thin card. So if this continues to dry, these are going to pop off. The smaller cracks won't, which are lovely, aren't they? They're really, really nice. So to stop these coming off, you just need to add some Slap-It-On. So I'm just going to add a little bit of Slap-It-On matte to this because the Slap-It-On matte is see-through, which means it's transparent. You can't see through it at all. And so I'm just going to gently put this on, and it's basically going to stop those crackles from pinging off this really thin card. okay, which is why using grey board is superb, or MDF, or really thick mount board, or watercolour card, you know, so that works really, really well. So that's going to stop that from pinging off and staying where it is. So just pop that back there. And I'll just wash my brush, because you need to wash your brushes immediately using any of the Slap-It-On range, because they have got an acrylic base. Okay, so then I would just leave that to dry and it will become transparent. And the great thing is it's got a great flow rate, which means that you won't see any of the marks made by the paintbrush. And then that is just ready to go. I've put it on black so then you can see the cracks through it. But if you have it on white, I did have a piece, honestly, 5 minutes in and the desk is an absolute bombshell. There's a big square piece of card. That's the one. Yeah. So you can see with this how it's curled, because this is just a black piece of paper, thin paper. So you can see how, because the crackle works by contracting, it's contracting that piece of paper. So that's the trouble you have with it. But I can still utilise this, because what I can do is I can actually stick it down like that. So I've actually gone over this with some matte Slap-It-On, so that it's not going to ping off, because obviously, because it's been curled up so much, as soon as you flatten it out, they're going to ping off, aren't they? Now this one, I was a bit too impatient, so I couldn't wait for it to crack, and I started heating it. And you can see where I started heating it here and there's been no reaction at all. So I left the rest, these areas here, and it started to crack on its own, and then you can heat it. So try and be a little bit more patient with it. And then how have I accentuated all of these cracks here? Well, all I've done, you can do this in many different ways. So if you've got an ink in a bottle, or if you've got an ink pad, or if you've got Vista or anything like that, you can, let me just move this up a little bit, move my spray. So this is Distress ink, and this particular one is Walnut Stain. Okay, so I'm using a baby wipe. These are biodegradable, and it's basically a soft cloth that is slightly damp, so that you can pick up a bit of ink. And then all you need to do is just rub that into the cracks. And then when you've rubbed it into the cracks, it shows up beautifully, doesn't it? And then you just go back over with the clean area and gently just take off a little bit of the surface. But I quite like, I personally leave a lot on the surface because I like that effect. So if you just want the cracks to show up, you wipe it on and then wipe it off. But I actually like tinting it as well. So let me bring that up to you, which is lovely. I'm going to get a mini table here so that I'm a bit close to the camera. So that is one of the uses. Of course, it comes in black as well. And what I like about this is, how are we doing on time? What? Where did the time go? That's just mental. I've got so many questions. So many questions to get through. I can't believe this. Sorry, guys. Okay, so the good thing about both of these is that they have a nice matte, almost gesso-like base. So you can actually paint over the top of the, look at that, look at that. That is just, that's the green and the blue from the waterfall, sparkling waterfall. Gorgeous, isn't it? Let's get some bottle of sunshine on there. It's a bit thin. Can you see it's a bit thin there? It's not as, there, you can see right through it. So that means there's too much, not enough mixing, and too much water. So just get it a little bit thicker, and you can go over the top. I'm using the side of my brush so you can just see those. Just wipe my brush, and let's get some of this watermelon. And what you can do is great if you actually go back over and you're mixing the colours and you're putting a layer upon layer of them. But that looks fabulous, doesn't it? Wow.
That's really pretty.
Right, really, wow. Wow. I cannot believe we've been on air for an hour. That's madness. So what I'm going to do is I think we need another question and answer session. So we will keep your questions. Can you pass me the one over, because there is one I can quickly answer.
Yes.
So Ellen and Anna Grace, hi darling. Do you want to swap the camera over? So you asked, are we doing a resin based show soon? Yes, we are. Put it in your diary. We've got a 1-day special on the 25th of August. So that's it, the night of the 25th going over to the 26th of August, and we're going to be doing resin again, which is fantastic. But we do actually have a few other shows before that, because we're going to be doing Christmas on the craft store. So I think we're on air on the 25th of this month, aren't we, Ella?
Yep.
So that's going to be good. Not long, with some gorgeous new stamps. So excited about that. But in the meantime, let's carry on with our question and answer session next week. So I'll carry on with that. But please, please, please don't forget to like, comment and share, and you could be in with a really good chance of getting a £50 voucher to spend on our website on anything you like apart from workshops.
Sorry, it was on your hands then. I didn't read
What was on my hands?
the camera. Sorry. I flipped it by accident.
You flipped it.
Sorry, everyone.
That's all right. You don't have to look at my face. She's gone bright red. As long as it wasn't just focusing on my boobs or anything like that. No, you don't want to see that. No, that's a bit horrid. But it's lovely to see you guys. Thank you so much indeed for joining me, and I will see you next week on Monday. Oh, we're not here next week. I just remembered. Yeah, sorry, we've got a day off. Yay! I'm going to have a crafting day. I know you think I have enough crafting to do, but no, there's always more time for more crafting. So we're not here next Monday, so we'll see you in 2 weeks. Okay, thanks so very, very much to everybody. Lots of love to you all. Stay safe and see you in a fortnight. Thanks very much. Say bye, Ella.
Bye.
Bye from Ella. Bye from me.